I apologize if there's a wealth of background noise. I am in a slightly different location today because it is super duper hot in my room, and I thought this room that I'm in currently is slightly more tolerable, so we're going with it. Also, I'm going to talk kind of quiet and somber today. Somber is not the word I wanted, but we're going to go with it, which means probably I'm going to have to crank the gain later on, but what are you going to do? Anyway, hello and welcome back to the Lion's Den. I'm your host, Matt, as always. And goodness, I am not built for heat. I am a person that is not built for such temperatures. It's just not fun. I don't understand why people in other countries that have an average temperature of greater than 25 degrees Celsius think it's a good idea. If you can hear that, that's the washing machine. Oh, bless. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of heat at all. I don't mind it in other countries that have air conditioning in their buildings, but this is England. We don't have air conditioning in our houses unless you're particularly rich and you can afford to install air conditioning. Most houses don't. We have fans and we have windows. That's it. So it's not a good time, particularly. But that brings me on to today's topic. I bought a new car. Finally. It's only been maybe a year since I started looking. No, it's not been that long. Maybe 6 to 9 months. Somewhere in that region. It's been a long road. Pardon the pun. But I finally found a new car. I've purchased it. I have it all taxed and insured and everything, so I'm off to the races. Did my first drive on my own yesterday, which was interesting, and we're going to get into that right now. So the first thing is, it's got air conditioning. Whoo! Which, as the aforementioned temperatures are going through the roof, having functioning air conditioning in your car is fantastic. It means I don't absolutely die when I try and drive anywhere, especially today, because it's supposed to be something like 30 degrees today, which is hot for England, like very, very hot for England. And all of our cars would be baking. I suppose this is where people with EVs that have the whole remote control, especially things like a Tesla, where you can just flick your phone on, tell your car to turn on and start the air conditioning long before you even get in it. That would be really handy, but I don't. I have a Suzuki Swift now, a more modern version of it, which is nice. It's obviously got all the fun stuff with air conditioning. It's sad that the fun stuff to me in a car is air conditioning. It's got a full touchscreen nav infotainment system, which is really cool, and it even comes with Android Auto, which I'm really excited about, so I'll get onto that later. The fun thing is, it's a 1-litre turbocharged engine with a hybrid system smacked onto it. And I mean, like, it's a proper hybrid car, so it has a battery and a motor and everything, as well as just a whole petrol engine, which is wild to me. So it doesn't feel like a 1-litre petrol engine, it feels a lot more powerful, which has led to some interesting fun with actually like learning how to drive it. So I'm a fairly competent driver, I would say. I'm pretty decent in terms of controlling cars and, you know, getting from point A to B without much of an issue. Obviously, I'm not perfect, obviously. I've only driven one car currently until this one, which was the Micra that I had. I had a Nissan Micra, and the Nissan Micra was full of issues, not least being the fact that the clutch was about to just die at any given moment. It hasn't, still to this day, and that's a testament either to the engineering of the Nissan people or to my ability to drive the car without destroying it. But the problem is the clutch like engaged extremely high, which for every other car is not the case. The clutch will engage very low on other cars, so that's the first adjustment period. The second thing is, obviously this new car has a ton more power, which I am not used to. The car just kind of goes, you put your foot down and you just go, whereas in the Micro it would take like a good 10 seconds to get to 30 miles an hour. That's probably an exaggeration, but it feels like it. It feels really, really slow. Whereas this, I don't even realize I'm doing 30 miles an hour until the car's screaming at me because it has a speed limiter, which I am going to use for the time being because my perception of speed is completely screwed in this car. I think I'm doing 20 miles an hour when I'm already at 30. It's spooky. The other thing is, because it's got a turbo on it, I get to experience the joys of turbo lag, which are both fun and terrifying when you're not expecting it. For those who aren't familiar, turbo lag is the concept where you don't get a lot of power from your car until the turbo has spooled up and starts kicking in extra fuel and air into the engine, and then you get a big surge of power. So you'll be like, you'll put your foot down, it'll be like nothing, 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 go! And if you're not ready for that, it's a little bit disarming. So I've got to get used to that. But hopefully that'll be fine. The other fun thing is, because it's technically a hybrid car, there is an electric motor that will just like kick in and give you a boost of energy as well. So that's really bizarre. But other than that, it drives really nicely. It's stupidly quiet on the inside because it's a lot better soundproofed. The Micro, you could hear literally everything. Nothing rattles as well. Like everything in the Micro was like rattling and falling apart as far as I was aware. So that was interesting. And yeah, I like it, but I also hate it. I only hate it because I can't drive it currently. So it's just about adjusting to how it drives and how to control it, and then I'll be off. I mean, I'm getting used to it fairly quickly because, again, not to toot my own horn, I am a pretty decent driver, or at least mechanically I'm pretty good at driving. But yeah, it's just the slight nuances of getting it to perform the way I want in the given situation. So for example, parking is currently an issue because my telltale signs that I used to use in the Micro to park fairly easily don't work in the Suzuki, so I'm gonna have to figure out ways of doing that. And sort of fine clutch control, you know, when I'm like maybe parking in a bay, or if I'm pulling off of a drive or in start-stop traffic, that's gonna be interesting as well, because I haven't got the fine control with the clutch pedal yet, because it's just so wildly different to how it worked in the Micro. But yeah, the tech stuff inside it is what's also really interesting to me. So obviously the aircon, that's fantastic. But also the fact that it has the touchscreen nav is really cool. It's got its own inbuilt radio with everything under the sun, you know, FM, AM, DAB, all of that stuff. It's got all of the connectivity options. So you've got auxiliary, you've got USB, Bluetooth, all of that fun stuff. It's got its own navigation system for like sat nav. That's the word I'm looking for, is sat nav. And it's also then got Android Auto, which when I figured that out on the test drives, I was just like, yeah, I have to buy this. Not because of the Android Auto though, for other reasons, but that was just kind of the cherry on the top, because wow, that's really cool. I've never used Android Auto, but the concept of it was really enticing to me. And I have to say, it's kind of, yeah, it's not a lot, but it's enough, I think, is the best thing. And oh my god, that's the washing machine. So yeah, Android Auto for me does two things. It allows me to use my phone for music and navigation, and that's pretty much all I care about is music and navigation, because obviously I don't listen to the radio. I use Spotify personally. I also use Google Maps if I ever need to navigate somewhere I'm not familiar with. Most of the time I can just drive where I want because I know the city and I know the areas that I go to fairly well. Obviously, if I ever decide to go further afield or to somewhere I've never been before, I use Google Maps because it's just better. And I mean, I had no alternative in the Micro. There was no system in the Micro. So yeah, it's really painless. Like you plug your phone into the USB port. Both systems kind of say hi. They do a little handshake, and off you go. You can grant. It's literally like one button, and it grants Bluetooth and access to your phone and your contacts and all of that. So you can do phone calls and stuff through the car, and obviously access to this like Google Maps and Spotify and everything. And it just works really nicely. And the bizarre thing is, it's like integrated but separate. So I noticed with Spotify on my phone, it doesn't matter what I'm doing on my phone for Spotify before I get in the car. The Spotify in the car is then separate, if that makes sense. So if I play song A on my phone whilst I'm at the gym, for example, and then I get in the car and plug my phone in, it will be playing song B when I get out, when I get into the car. So it's kind of got like its own separate memory of like songs that it's playing. So that might be a bit annoying, but the system's really well. It's like basically a glorified tablet in the car, so I could just poke my way around and find the songs that I want fairly easily. And most of the time I just whack shuffle on. So it's cool. It's really nice. I think the other thing that I like as well is that there's like weirdly a dedicated voice assistant built into the car normally, which means there's a bunch of buttons on the steering wheel for controlling the car through your voice. But that system integrates with Android Auto, which is really nice. So it means that there's a button on the steering wheel that I can just press with muscle memory and start talking to Google Assistant whenever I want. So it means if I'm driving and I'm lost, I can just press this button on the steering wheel whilst I'm still driving, say, "Yo Google, help, I'm lost." And it will do it all for me without me ever having to take my hands off the wheel, which is really nice. I'm glad that they figured out how to integrate that system. So that's cool. I imagine I won't use it for much else. Obviously, you can have your notifications pop up and you can send texts and do calls, which I might do from time to time if I need to text or call someone. But other than that, it's music and navigation. Generally just music. So yeah, but we'll explore it. There's tons of weird features that I've never used before in a car because obviously didn't have them. So obviously the main thing is the speed limiter, which is going to be useful for getting used to driving the car at the right speed. There's also cruise control, which if I ever end up going on long distance drives on a motorway, that'll be nice. There's things like lane assist and crash detection and braking detection, all of that stuff. Like, there's a lot going on, so yeah, exciting. Right, I guess that's all I've got to say. It's a good time. We'll see how it goes in the future. But yeah, anyways, I think if I want to give you some small bit of advice, if you don't need something urgently, start looking for the next thing. I didn't need a new car. I wanted a new car. And well, I did need a new car, but didn't need a new car, right? My car worked fine. It drove. It was okay. It did what it needed to do, but it was kind of on its way out and we didn't know when it was going to go. So that's why I started looking for a new car. I needed something more reliable and just better. And this was the best time to do that because the Micra still works, but I've now got something that's replaced it that's better. And that's kind of the situation you want to be in. You don't want to end up where the first thing you've got completely breaks and you've got nothing. So then you're panicking and scrambling around trying to buy the next one, because that's when you'll make a mistake and buy potentially the wrong thing. So anyway, life advice over. I hope you've enjoyed listening. See you later. Bye.